Previously on Startup Warriors. 9 fearless Web3 startups landed in Bali to push their limits, not just as founders, but as personalities. After conquering a volcano and immersing themselves in Balinese tradition, a new challenge awaits. But this one demands more than resilience. It demands reinvention. As in the startup world, adapting isn't enough, and you evolve or you sink. Welcome back to Startup Warriors, reality bootcamp for entrepreneurs. I'm Nelson Lopez, and today, amidst the stunning landscapes of Bali, our journey takes another turn. This time, 9 startups will face challenges that push them beyond the surface, discovering that growth requires diving into the unknown. In this episode, the founders dive into the world of Web3 products with Matt Sorg, VP of Technology at the Solana Foundation, and plunge into Bali's underwater depths, pushing their adaptability and comfort zones to the limit. So let's dive into Startup Warriors. Join the community-driven platform for digital nomads. Experience freedom and rewards for travelers, supported by the Solana Foundation.
I'm just really excited to share one of my hobbies with everybody here. You know, the startup life can be really hectic and your mind can be really scattered all the time. And freediving is really all about clearing the mind, being more relaxed, and just kind of taking the waves as they come. And that can really prepare you for the tumultuous nature of being a startup. Yeah, these types of environments put you in a much different social setting than normal. You're solving a problem, you're thinking of a new skill. So it's really exciting to see, these diverse groups of founders and all their different products come together in a kind of a shared goal, especially when it is about kind of freeing your mind and being more relaxed and kind of, each of their disparate processes and other things in their companies kind of come together and they can learn kind of a new way of organizing.
Hello, I'm Matt Sorg, the VP of Technology at Solana Foundation. I have basically a career in running deep tech and making products that people love. I started off with Riot Games, which makes League of Legends, which is a really one of the most popular games in existence. I was doing a lot of the AI work there, everything from game balance to game design. Applied that learning to both of my startups. One was in blockchain. The other one is a hearing aid. It's kind of a windy road, I know, but this was applying AI to configure hearing aids accurately. So it's that deep tech, again, to making a product that people love. My first startup was on Ethereum, and it just didn't scale to consumer grade. We actually acquired users really well, but so 4 years ago when I found Solana, I realized, this actually is ready for consumer adoption. And so I've been really kind of accelerating that, in various roles within the foundation. And just really excited to be a part of this journey with new founders as, a founder myself. And we're all figuring out this great new world of decentralization.
Then we went to Ahmed Beach. It took us a while because it's far, far away, and the trip there itself was exhausting. But the beach was really nice, and there was a reef there. I think it's a reef. And when we just started snorkeling before we went to freediving, there was so many different fishes there.
Essentially, it's quite interesting because it's more about that the way is the target and not that you have to achieve a certain depth, but it's about finding this inner peace with yourself for the body to be still, to consume as fewest energy as possible, and then take the rope one step at a time. And in order to do this, of course, you need to have a certain technique, which you need to bring in, which is very energy conserving. But mainly it's a thing of the mind to understand how the body is reacting to this short of oxygen or lack of oxygen, and understand what the diaphragma starts to do, that it starts to like push up against your lungs, that it can become like very uncomfortable. But it's also good to understand from this expertise how to maybe not to like ignore it, but to work with it in order to get the maximum breath out of it. So while oxygen is reduced, the CO2 builds up. This is like also why you shouldn't like hyperventilate in the beginning, because else you miss this point where your body is starting to black out in an edge case. So just breathe normally, breathe in, breathe out.
The freediving day was pretty exciting for me because it's my passion and my sport. So I was very curious, first of all, to see how the other would react for a first time freediving. And the lecture was pretty interesting, even though I had several courses in the past. You know, it's never enough to learn new things. So still engaging with the teacher. She was very good, actually. I was very surprised because having some knowledge, I would be critic towards what we would learn.
Use OKX, the world's leading assets platform for everything crypto. Download the app to buy, exchange, and trade faster now.
I mean, I think I'm not arguing that the 1,500 validators and being permissionless is the main reason. I do agree that, but there's like the difference between like necessary and sufficient conditions. I think if Solana was as powerful, like, you know, as strong as it is today on one validator, there's some extreme that people would be like super spooked. Like the fact that you can hear all these people from Ethereum world or wherever world say that Solana is centralized, and then you look under the hood and it's actually not, that grabs users. What is the thing that like, they're like, oh, wait, the thing that the main reason that people are telling me not to use this platform is actually just BS that, like, you know, relative to my thought, like if you really care about being able to validate in your home, that's actually on you. I actually don't have any criticism of that. But framing it as a generic centralized, I think that's the part that's incorrect, because that people have different versions of what they care about in their application.
Yeah, I think whenever you're making a business, you have to separate a product you're making from the actual business itself. So a product is something that, you know, solves some acute need. It is something that maybe even a little bit contentious, but it is something that like a user just needs in some cadence. And the business model kind of is derived from that. Like, what value extraction, or like what can you take to, you know, what is the user willing to pay for that service? So there's a lot of things around, you know, knowing who your user is, knowing what they are willing to pay, and how do you do that in like a really frictionless way, so they can consistently do that. What you know, and so there's some business models that require much different aspects than others. So a good example is something like a social media network. Well, really requires a high, what's called a K factor. It needs to have very low churn, very high spread, because you need to have vast network effects, which is part of the reason why it's really hard to start a social media. I think TikTok's basically the only one in the last 10 years that is net new. So that has like very high requirements on the virality and the stickiness of your app. But some of them may just be one-off. That's just, do you have access to something new? So maybe that's a payment rail or something like that. You don't need any network effects. You don't need that many users. Maybe you just have, you know, few thousand users in a world that just need that payment channel very acutely. So you don't care about the rest of the churn. You just care about being able to, you know, get that, you know, that TAM that you know, for those high value users that you care about. So those are kind of the extremes. So you kind of have to understand on what part of that spectrum you are, and like really understand how to acutely solve that user problem.
Then we reach the point of the when with the rope, and we begin to dive. I was like, okay, a couple of 5 meters, 10 meters is okay. I'm done. And then something changed because we make like a competition in a good way with Serie A. I put 2 meters more, 2 meters more, and I don't, 12 meters. I say, you don't 12 meters? Yes, put 15. And he done, and I say, put 16, and I don't. And when I stopped thinking about I can breathe, it was so fun and so peaceful and so like an introspection. No, it's the time under the water was like less than a minute, but it feels like an hour.
I was diving with Alberto and Benedict. So Ben was not good at diving. He had issues. He couldn't dive even for 2 meters. But we had a lot of fun with Alberto, and we were like challenging each other. First it was 5 meters, then it was 7 meters, and then it was 10 meters. So we both did 10 meters, and it was incredible. Like, it was really good. So when you dive deep, at one stage you are afraid that you won't make it out because you don't have enough oxygen or whatever. But then you realize that no, it's not true. In a pool, I was diving, I was holding my breath for 1.5 minutes. So that means that going down it's like 15 seconds and going up it's another 15 seconds. So I know that I can do it. It's just a matter of psychology. So it was really a good exercise and a good challenge to dive and know the reality and know your limits and be in that range.
The ocean, it's totally different than the pool. Like especially like from the surface till the bottom, it's 2 different vibes. Because on the surface already, when you're there and you look, some people have some kind of fear of the not seeing what is there on the ground and not imagining what can come from the bottom. You know, like some people imagine there are monsters coming from the blue. You just need to enjoy it. Sometimes for me, you know, it's like, especially when there is this spark of light that it's a very clear water, you see kind of something that is shining. That is some small, I guess it's planktons in the water. And just looking at these, and while you do your preparation of the dive, which is relaxing and breathing, it's just pure pleasure for me. And then you go down, and when you arrive at your level where you want to stop, and you are surrounded by this huge mass of water, you understand you are small, and the ocean is huge and big, and it's give you. I think it's kind of being an astronaut, because you are in some element that is not your element, and it's huge, and you are small, and you don't have power, so you are just a small molecule in this huge space of water, and you just feel part of it, but you can't fight it, you have just to enjoy it. So this is like the vibe that I get when I'm there.
Welcome back to the XFounders Hub. While you're watching this reality show, we're preparing the next season of the XFounders Bootcamp, our flagship program for Web3 startups. We bring together founders, leading experts, and investors to one place to collaborate, share knowledge, and shape the products that will change the industry. And if you're a Web3 builder, we encourage you to explore our bootcamp and apply to the next program. For those of you who know Web3 Founders, we offer up to 1,000 USDT for every selected startup you refer. You'll find all the links in the description. Follow our social media for updates. Let's build the future of Web3 together.
So first thing, I think, like, at least from my perspective, like me sitting here, I think it's really important for all of your products to ask, like, why are you even considering blockchain? I think the idea of like infrastructure or technology first is incorrect. Certainly the technology can enable something. It can enable a new type of, I put on a few things like digital scarcity. It can have self-sovereignty. You can have true ownership. These are words people say. But I don't think that's like the real reason that you should be considering blockchain. You should be thinking about it the other way, where like, I have some conviction about the way that the new world can act, and then I would make a integration on top of that. And so really like rethinking the why into like users. So like these are like the user stories, or like the type of framing from a user perspective that you might get if you really start thinking.
So especially whenever you do deep tech, you often run into people who have this utopian view of what their product could or should be. And that's not really usually the way to make a good product. The good way to make a good product is to ship uncomfortably early, see what you can learn on what you're grabbing from your users, and iterate from there. Like if you think of the spectrum of like is how baked and how done an application is, especially like blockchain and AI, people wait till they get to basically 11. They get it absolutely perfect, and then they get audited, and they get whatever, and then they finally ship, but it oftentimes doesn't reach the user. When really you should be shipping it basically at 2, and your first iteration should be just like, does anybody care about this segment at all? Because the idea being, if you really care, if somebody's really going to care, like enough to be sticky, they're going to care enough about that 2 out of 10 version of your application. And then you can just, as you get to 10, you just get more and more people, and then you expand more and more to the edge of those people who really care. But if you don't have anybody in that 2-level app that really care, that says something about your application, and maybe you should do some iteration and find what parts they care, and then kind of build your application from there.
Spend crypto like fiat everywhere. Join Red.Pay now with the XFounders link and get $5 in credit.
How was that?
It was good.
It was good? You've done this before?
All my life. It was very good. It was, obviously for me, it's not the first experience, but it was interesting to see the others trying it and see their emotions, which was my emotions one time. But it was exciting still to dive for the first time in Bali, so I really liked it.
So there was another group where it was Matt, Daria, and someone else. I don't remember. I think it was Anastasia. And later on, Daria abandoned that group and came to us because those people, they were not enjoying. They were like, it's a free diving. They didn't seem to enjoy, and it wasn't really nice. So we used to work a lot, but here, due to the nature of the camp and activities, we work less and trying to restore work-life balance. And it's tough and it's very challenging, especially due to time difference, like GMT plus 8, it's a lot. And it's hard, but it's rewarding. I mean, I feel better, I feel more energetic, I feel more fulfilled. The only problem is that the time difference.
I really enjoy water sports. For me, being in the water, I feel like I'm Tom. My mother used to call me Poseidon, so it's kind of my space.
I think it's really interesting to see how different people, everybody has their own level of skill in this, and then how you kind of interact with each other and kind of supporting each other. It just kind of shows how in tune to, understanding each other's perspectives people are. And that's really important. Like as you, find your users, you find your first customers. I think it's like that kind of mentality is really important. Yeah, I had a great time. It's like you just have this very interesting cadence that you kind of come to, or you breathe in, you breathe out, and then with the freediving is all about just really becoming at peace when it's time, and then just doing the getting as far as you can go, and just like kind of letting it happen. It's a different experience than just like normal breathing on air.
The way you you swim, the way you relax or breathe. Obviously, you don't breathe underwater. The way you equalize, and also the feelings. Like diving, I tried, and it's okay. It's cool to be there, be able to stay a lot underwater, but it's not the same. You also make a lot of noise with with the oxygen, with the bubbles that goes up, and it's not that relaxing as freediving, in my opinion. So it's like sightseeing underwater for me. Freediving is another thing, is challenging yourself for a performance and meditation. So I was curious to see Matt trying it for the first time. I think he liked it. Probably the impact of changing from diving to freediving, it's big, so maybe his expectations were different. But sometimes I always see like people who try for the first time, they say, no, I don't like it, I prefer diving. And then when they try diving back, then maybe they get the vibe of the freediving for real.
This was amazing, because when you have somebody who's from the core development of such a large project, being with the group, spending time together, answering questions, bouncing ideas back and forth, and like getting you in touch also with the right people to better build into this ecosystem. So I found it really fascinating, and I took a lot from it. So Matt, when you're watching this, thank you very much.
The guys, I think they went to like 20 meters down in the water, and we did like around 10. But it was quite enjoyable with the little fishes swimming around. I would really come back here with a scuba dive, I suppose, because I think the underwater world is just very beautiful.
I don't want to talk. Just listen to this.
In the next episode, we dive into the beating heart of every Web3 project, tokenomics. Founders will face off with top token experts, challenged to prove that their vision isn't just hype, but built on solid mechanics and long-term value. But that's not all. Demo Day is drawing near, the final challenge, where everything is on the line and every pitch could make or break a dream. The founders will face their first real heat, a no-filter roast from a seasoned VC where weak spots are exposed and only the sharpest ideas survive. Subscribe, like, and share, and don't miss what's coming next on Startup Warriors.